أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب واحلم يجعل له وجه أحمده سبحانه وتعالى وأشكره وهو أهل حمد وثناء وأشهد أن لا إله إلا وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله ومصطفى اللهم صل وسلم على عبدك ورسولك محمد وأهله وصحبه وسلم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Thank you, Allah Almighty, for the mercy that He sends to us, and we are not in the station of gratitude for that mercy. We don't know what mercy is. And when we don't know what mercy is, that is one of the biggest abuses that humanity can ever acquire. When you're going to build a civilization, a housing community, maybe it's forest there, you have to go in there and you have to cut down all the trees, you have to remove them. You have to come in and lay pipes in the ground for water, for gas, for electricity. You have to make poles so that you may have electricity to supply to the houses. But there must be a generator or some power source that sends the electricity to the homes, that sends water to the homes, that sends gas to the homes, so that mercy will reach them. And if we're going to send electricity to homes, and we see houses and we see buildings everywhere, it's going to take a lot of power from generators. So the equipment that's going to allow the electricity to flow through, once it leaves the generator, it has to be the best quality that power, that electricity may go through. Those pipes have to be the best material possible to take the pressure and the power of that water or the gas going through pipes to bring a comfort and a mercy and security to the people dwelling in those homes. What we as humanity have lost is that Allah Almighty sent 124,000 prophets to humanity. He sent Adam, He sent Abraham, He sent Moses, He sent Solomon, He sent Jesus, He sent Muhammad, He sent David, He sent Joseph, He sent all of these with the ability to serve people, to give a light to the people, to give a power to the people, to give a cleaning to the people. But when we start talking about Judaism, Christianity, and Islam being a different religion, a different God for each one, then it means it's just like not having the power source reaching to that area and it's cut off. Or the power source going into that area, instead of it being water, it's Kool-Aid. Or it's something else other than water, which is a mercy for cleaning, for cooking, for giving health to the body. It is the same water that reaches all homes throughout the world, that goes into the homes of the people through pipes. It is the same electricity that goes in the homes of the people and give light to their homes. It is the same gas that Allah Almighty has allowed to come through the homes to give people ability to heat up their homes and to have electrical appliances. They don't say that that's different. But yet they're going to say, they're going to divide Allah up and say that Allah is different in every place else. Allah is not the same here as He is there. It's not Allah, it's something else. And so therefore the people are against one another because they think that their belief system is different. We don't have understanding. And there's a crisis in the world. When you find people killing each other, when you find people lying to each other, when you find people stealing from each other, when you find all of these divisions toward one another, it means that they're not getting the same power source to their homes. What energy are they drawing from? What power source are they drawing from? And that's throughout the world. And that's why we as human beings, we don't understand what goodness is. We don't understand what mercy is. When Allah sent the beloved Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, He said He was rahmatil lil alamin. He was a mercy for all humanity, for everything, for the world, not just world dunya. Allah said, I wanted to be known, so I created creation. In the crown of creation, I'm creating everything for the benefit of that crown creation, which is beloved Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that all the prophets took his life from. And this is what humanity has to understand if they're going to be one accord with themselves and in harmony with their brothers and sisters of humanity. We don't have understanding. Everyone's heart pumps blood throughout their whole body, to their brain and to all of their organs. That's a process that happens in all human beings. There's nobody's brain that is different in terms of how it works. There are electrical currents through their brain. Everyone lives and does the same. Everyone comes to a woman and they go and they leave here and put in the ground. How can we make a division to think in other aspects of our lives that we are different? That we are different. Nobody is better than anyone else. We all take second in the, I'm better than you because I'm inhaling oxygen. Everybody that's alive is inhaling oxygen. Everybody has to drink water, so you're better than someone because you drink water. You eat food, so now you're better. That's how ridiculous it is for us to look down on somebody else thinking that I am better than you. How? This is why people are not happy. This is why people have problems in their homes, on their jobs, in the school, in the mosque, in the churches, in the synagogues, in the temples. Because they think they're different. The only different people in the world are happy people from unhappy people. Happy people show gratitude and they have a consciousness that Allah Almighty's mercy is working with them. They are in the mercy of their Lord. And so therefore they're happy. And it's a blessing to have that kind of consciousness. They don't have to lie, they don't have to steal, they don't have to kill, they don't have to do anything but enjoy the mercy that their Lord is entitling them to have. When you go home to your house and your electricity is on and your gas is on and the water is flowing, you don't go and look and blackout, then maybe you might look out and see if your neighbors also, if their lights are out. Misery always likes company. But as long as we are enjoying the mercy and the benefits, no one else is looking at no one else. So that means if people are not happy through themselves, in terms of a joy through themselves, that means that mercy that can only flow to the hearts are not reaching our hearts. I mean, there's a desert there. There's a shut-off there. There's a shortage there. Something is interfering with the mercy of that flow to give me what I am needing through my soul, through my heart. Because if it happened in our home, in our electricity or our gas or our water, we will show such a concern. But we're not concerned. We're not receiving that through our hearts that gives us joy. We're just living our life as mean, evil people. Harming people with our hand and with our tongue. See, a Muslim is one whose mouth and his tongue and hand is free from harming anyone. Because they're submitting their will to their Lord, Allah Almighty, and they're receiving the mercy that Allah Almighty is entitled to them, and they are happy. A happy person does not lie, does not steal, does not kill, unless they're defending themselves. They're never going to be the aggressor. It's only unhappy people in the world that's causing all the problems. Only someone would complain in the community if they didn't have lights coming to their house, or gas coming to their house, or water coming to their house, so they would have the mercy of staying clean and eating and having light to enjoy the sights of their home. The question would be, why? Did you pay your bill? There's a price. There's a price to receive that light from your Lord, that mercy from your Lord through your heart. We must ready ourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually to receive. There is an action that's required for us to enjoin good and forbid evil. That people should be free from our mouths and our hands. We should want for our brothers and sisters what we want for ourselves. You should treat your neighbor the way you want to be treated. Stay disciplined and stay vigilant. And when you're receiving that you need, you're not going to take on something synthetic to compensate for that you really need from reality. You can't use a substitute for lighting your household like electricity. You may have a candle here, but it doesn't light your whole house up. You can't substitute the gas unless you just get one of those little pots, the other little gas, Buddha gas or something. And water, you can't compensate water that you have a well out somewhere. Allah's mercy has allowed mankind to be able to use the mind by feeding their minds and feeding their thoughts and their brain taking in the right thoughts and doing the good action, not only thinking about themselves, but thinking about the people, and bringing the ability to bring that well of water into everybody's household. Or to take those candles and them lamps and everybody got to go out and light everybody, to bring it in their household to have electricity and lights in their home. Allah sends that to mankind as a mercy. Have running water flowing through your household, hot or cold. Which of the favors of your Lord will you deny? We lost our minds. We don't even know what the mercy is. We don't have a clue. And here we are, the descendants of those who were taken from a homeland, and they lost their language, they lost their heritage, and they had food against themselves. To be raised up in a place that's foreign to us. You have to understand that the issues of a people that have been abused like that have to be addressed differently from those who have grown up and they can trace their grandparents back and their heritage back. And they know who they are and whose they are. From a people who don't have a clue of who they are and whose they are. How do you address that? How do you bring a people back to that? And that's why Allah Almighty, He has to send among people who have lost their minds, lost their hearts, lost their understanding, lost their ability to purify themselves. Allah Almighty must send people among us. He must send people among us to be a supply station for us, to serve us, to give us those things that we need, like any power station or transformer gives to a household in their electricity, their water, or their gas. Those people are the electricity, the gas, and the water for human beings. They give them back the zeal and the life that they've lost from the abuse of having it taken away from them and cut off. Yet we're so blind and we don't see them. We don't hear them. We don't obey them. Because we become deaf, dumb, and blind. There's no greater mercy than to have Allah Almighty in the wintertime, to have our heat on and we are not freezing. Or be in darkness and not being able to see. Then Allah sending the light for us to see. Or having the convenience of being in a household and having those things that make us to be comfortable. Our hearts are uncomfortable. Because there's a disease in our hearts. It calls us to be mean. It calls us to be evil. It calls us to be crazy. Do you think medication is going to, something synthetic is going to compensate for something that needs a reality? There are more mental institutions than there have ever been. There are more prisons now than there have ever been. Because we have been cut off from the source that Allah Almighty sends to us to cut our utilities back on. The utility of life, of zeal, of steadfastness. Not being lazy, not being crazy. Being healthy of mind, body, and soul. Having the wealth, the prosperity, to give out of our wealth and prosperity, to give to those and to raise those, to teach those who have lost their way, and to bring them back to happiness and to life and gratitude to their Lord. It's a reason why people suffer. It's a reason why they're unhappy. It ain't just because that's the way it is. It's not the way, that's the way it is because we allow it. But that's not the way it is that Allah Almighty is intended. And if we ever wake up, we're going to say, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, walillahi alhamd. Thank you, Allah, and praise to you for awakening me. What's wrong with us? Allah brings us to drink, and we don't drink. Allah brings us to light, and we don't absorb the light. Allah brings us to the healing, and we remain sick. Whose fault is that? Allah is so merciful. Allah is so merciful. And He sends that through beloved Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There were no lights. Those kind of lights were not. There were the prophets. Then there were the companions of the prophets. Then there were the friends of Allah Almighty, awliyaullah, after the Sahabas. They are the lights of Allah Almighty that Allah put in the hearts of the Prophet, peace be upon him. That's the Sunnah of the Prophet. Those lights. They enlightened the people that had fallen in darkness. But we don't allow them to enlighten us because we like being in the dark and then complaining about it. We like not having that we're in need of. Then we complain about it. Then we hate those who have it. Yet we have the ability to get it and keep it and maintain it. Don't you know it's a disrespect to Allah Almighty when He looks at us and sees an ugly face because our hearts are ugly and unhappy? Allah looks and sends the angels, who is remembering me? Whose hearts are in happiness? Allah only looks to our hearts. There's some people, no matter what situation Allah puts them in, they're going to be happy because they know that Allah is looking at them. When they're having trials and tribulations, they know Allah Almighty is looking at them. Looking at their hearts to see how they're going to respond. So He can raise them up and give them more. So they have more gratitude. More gratitude. It's sad to see an unhappy people. Allah may change the world in a blink of an eye or less. But He'll never do it as long as the people are showing ingratitude. That's why Allah Almighty never destroys a place if there's just one in an area. Just one. For the sake of that one, Allah will not destroy the place. But why should you just exist? Why should you just exist? Allah wants us to have the high life while we're in the low life. He wants us to have the ability to say, be it it is. He wants to give us more so we can give more. So we can establish happiness on the earth. Like in heaven. But when Allah is seeing ugly faces and diseased hearts and taking pills to subside ourselves or calm ourselves or taking alcohol to subdue ourselves or taking any kind of drugs to subdue ourselves, it means that we don't understand the reality of our existence and who brought us in existence. It means we don't understand. That means we still have to go through some misery until we say, oh my Lord, I'm ready. I want to stop fighting. Help me. I need help. Like an alcoholic finally admitting, I am an alcoholic. That's when the process of healing starts. I am a dope addict. That's when the process, I am a liar. That's when the process continues. I am a thief. That's when the process, I am a killer. That's when the process starts to improve. I am without. Oh my Lord, help me. I'm weak. Help me. Many things Allah Almighty allowed to happen to us so that is the door for our greatness. But when we let shame and guilt take us out the game, then we never get in the game. Shaitan is real to those who believe and act like Shaitan. Those who don't listen to Shaitan, Shaitan is not real to them. Shaitan does not exist in their thinking process. Because when they slip, they seek refuge in Allah Almighty. Oh my Lord, forgive me for listening to my ego. They take responsibility. They don't point the finger at nobody else. They say, oh my Lord, forgive me. Please do not leave me in the hands of my ego for a blink of an eye or less. They take responsibility. They don't say he did it, she did it, they did it. No. My ego, I listened to my ego. And it tricked me. And I'm asking you to forgive me and clean my ego. Let me to ride my ego. Because the ego is powerful. It's powerful. You can't kill it and it's dead, and you just like, okay, then you're like an angel, and then you just like, why are you here? You are here to slay that dragon in you. Allah Almighty sends us all here with a sword and a dragon. Either you're going to cut your own throat, or you're going to cut the throat of your dragon. And that's why the Prophet Muhammad, as Allah Almighty sent him among people, and when he passed away, those who inherit his life, they are among us to say the same things that he said. Fight that part of you that is not of you. You must ride that part of you that was created for you to ride and not to ride you. And we're asking to be like those people who were able to ride their horses. During the time of the Ottomans, they used to come out, and the kings used to come out, and they come out on a platform, and their horses would come up. They would whistle, and the horse would come up, and they would just get on their horse like this. That's because they had control of their horse inside. When you have control of that horse inside, everything else obeys you. Wildness have to obey you, because Allah Almighty gives you the power to say be and it is. And if we're not like that, we're not safe. We're going to be miserable. Who wants to live miserable? Who wants to live in the dark? Nobody. It doesn't feel good to be evil or mean. That's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling to have pride or arrogance or hatred or envy or jealousy. That's not a good feeling. But we're going to have that if we don't have the things we're supposed to have. We're going to look at others and point the finger at them and say, why don't I have that? When we have equal access to have what everyone else has. There's nowhere in the world hatred and envy and jealousy and pride and arrogance should be in us. If we have that, then we have been cursed. Our utilities, everything has been cut off because we have not paid our bill. We have not paid our bill. We ask Him Almighty to forgive us and have the ability not to be in debt of anything, to be able to pay our bills. In this life, in the next life, while we're in this life, pay the bills for the things of this life and pay the bills of the things of the next life, in this life. So we may be happy people with joy and gratitude to our Lord. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, walillahi alhamd. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wa salatu wa salamu ala khairil mursalin, Muhammadin nabiyyi wa ahlihi wa sahbihi ajma'in, amma ba'd. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Be careful. Be careful of ourselves. There's not a worse renegade or devil or anything less than an animal than us if we're not vigilant. We're not on security. Think about what you think about and look at what you do. And examine what you feel. And when you become disturbed, ask yourself, why am I disturbed? And it's going to come to you. It's going to come to you. You neglected to do this. You neglected to do that. And when you do that you neglected, then you will have fulfilled the responsibility. Be responsible and stay disciplined. Like a soldier on yourself all day long. What am I thinking about? What am I feeling? What am I doing? You stay that way on yourself, other people will benefit as well as yourself. That's called fighting your nerves. Keep your horse disciplined. Keep it fed well. Keep it clothed well. Discipline it, train it. Then it will be a holy steed for you. And all you got to do when you walk and you're ready to ride, when you walk on that platform, it'll know what it's supposed to do. It already knows. We just don't know what it's supposed to do. And we're asking Allah to forgive us and to help us here and hereafter. One and all, Fatiha. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Malik Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. قد قام من الصلاة.